Welcome to the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have two outstanding individuals seeking your support in their campaigns for the Libertarian National Committee chair. Brought to you by Drunken Disorderly Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe below if you're checking this out on the YouTube page, right? So, gentlemen, here's how it's going to work, right? On one side here, we've got Josh Smith. He's a Libertarian from Antioch, California. He is at-large representative of the Libertarian National Committee, at-large for the Libertarian Party of California, treasurer for the Libertarian Party of Contra County, and former Region 5 representative for the Libertarian Party of Washington. Joshua is also a founding member of Think Liberty. And on the other side of my screen, I've got Mike Shipley. Mike Shipley is currently vice chair of the Arizona Libertarian Party and has been serving in the Arizona Libertarian Party in officer role since 2016. He has also served as chair of Outright Libertarians for 4 years, tripling membership and quadrupling fundraising while working to found and co-found several more of the LP's most active and successful caucuses. Gentlemen, welcome to the debate.
Hey, thanks a lot for having us, Scott. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, tonight we're gonna run this kind of tight because we're on a schedule and we want to make sure we get all of our questions in. Each individual will be given an opportunity to answer each question. Questions will be assigned a time limit. Participants can have a 15-second rebuttal if their name is evoked. Okay. Topics for the evening: we're going to talk a little bit about fundraising, memberships, voter engagement, LNC business, and LP candidates. We will also have an opportunity for viewers to go ahead and submit their questions as well. Gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start with our first questions. Beforehand, we decided that Mike will take our first question. Again, Mr. Shipley, your last name rhymes with Shitley. How has this impacted your life?
Well, you're muted, Mike.
You're muted.
Technical difficulties.
It happens. Good thing there's not a time limit on this question.
It's just me and you now, Scott.
He'll be back. He'll be back. So you see where this is going, Josh. Are you ready?
Sure.
So, no, it's great. Mike, are you back? I can
Yep.
hear you. So right. To reiterate the question, Mike, Mr. Shipley, your last name rhymes with Shitley. How has this impacted your life?
Well, as a child, as you can imagine, kids do observe the same thing that you have observed. And yes, you're right. It rhymes with Shitley. And when I used to care what people thought, it impacted me a lot. It made me sad, but it also made me learn what it means to stand up to an injustice and to recognize that other people don't get to decide how I feel about myself, and kind of, give me that thick skin that I'm so grateful for today.
Excellent. Mr. Smith, with a last name that means to strike or smite. How have you lived up to that name?
I'm trying to not do so much smiting these days, I think, actually. So I'm not much of a striker or a smiter. I don't even know how to answer that question. You're killing me with the easy ones, man.
Mr. Shipley, you've chosen to join us from your living room. What prompted you to decide to join us from your living room this evening?
Well, you see, it all started when I moved in and I put my desk here.
Okay.
And look at me now.
Mr. Smith
started from the desk. Now he's here.
Right. You see, my computer's on my desk and my microphone's attached to my computer.
Same question, different answer.
Logic. It's logic. Well, I'm not in my living room. I'm in my bedroom.
You're in a bedroom. Okay.
I'm in my bedroom. Yeah, absolutely. What prompted me to be in my bedroom? This is where the PC is, and it works a lot better than the laptop. It's a little more spacious than trying to do it in my kitchen. And so, yeah, that's how I found my way here. It's upstairs. Kind of don't get bugged by my roommate and such. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so now we have everyone, I think people are given a fair opportunity to join us tonight. I do have some actual serious questions for you guys. People that generally, I feel like, want to know more about the chairs, people that are running for chair for the national committee. It's a big deal, and I think people have a right to know. So, Mike, we're going to start with you with our first question of the evening. And that question is, what would the LNC more broadly have to do to increase low-dollar donations to the committee? 1 minute or less.
Well, first of all, they would have to start accepting them. So the last time I tried to donate less than $10, it literally wouldn't accept my donation. So there's that. And then I think another thing that they could do, besides just making it known that low donations are welcome and like specifically soliciting them, is actually put some better product in the LP store so that, you know, your gift comes with something that you actually want back from it.
Excellent. Mr. Smith?
Yeah. So I believe that we need a lot of all size donors. Obviously, I've talked a lot about this over the last year and a half or 2 years. But I just think that, you know, conveying a message that resonates with people, you know, blue class, working class, normal people is going to get us more small dollar amount donations to the LNC. And I have to disagree just a little bit with you, Mike. Our store has a great ROI. It's like one of the best returns on investments that we have right now. So, yeah, I think those are
rebuttal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So ROI just means the stuff that you do sell is profitable, but
Sure.
that doesn't mean that the stuff you sell is stuff that a lot of people really want. So I feel like there could be a lot more revenue by actually upgrading the quality of the products there.
Excellent. Next question. Josh, this question you'll start with you this time. What issues do you think are key to bringing in high dollar donations? A minute or less, please.
Again, it's the same. To me, all donations are the same. We need to be a party that reflects the causes of everybody else. I mean, you know, as far as my own fundraising that I've been able to do for the party, you know, staying on principled message, that anti-war message has really driven a lot of the membership recruitment that I've been able to do. A lot of the $50 to $100 a month contributions that we get that I've been able to bring through my link are people who have been looking for a party that's going to reflect what they care about, what their most important issues are. And I think that's always going to be number one for us in any type of fundraising.
Okay. Mike?
So I feel like anybody that gives money to the party is doing that because they're hoping for it to succeed, right? And especially the larger of a gift that I give, you know, I'm weighing that against, you know, the potential sort of benefit of that risk. And I think that the whole bottom unity vibe and this idea of going after voters that we haven't traditionally really done a great job of reaching for, that is going to create a sense of opportunity for that risk to pay off in new and exciting ways. So I feel like I can't promise you a whole bunch of new crypto whales or anything, because that would be, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who's out there, but I do know there are a lot of people that won't join the party because of its longstanding sort of, these stereotypes about us that aren't really true, but contain kernels of truth, right? So I think just being visibly, like the fact that the party has like shifted and is choosing a new direction is going to give people
5 seconds.
The hope that their investment could pay off in new ways.
Time. Okay. What policies should the Libertarian Party pursue to win over voters? 1 minute or less, please. Oh, it's Mike. Yeah.
Well, I think the obvious missed opportunity is anti-war issues. And I also think that right now what we're looking at in here, so Trump won by appealing to working class anxieties, and he sold them this sort of false hope that, building a giant wall was going to protect you from all the people that are making you poor, kind of thing. And as voters are kind of waking up to this idea, they're starting to gravitate left across the mainstream top, the authoritarian top. And I think that we have a real opportunity just by presenting like a balanced, unifying message that isn't afraid to sort of meet them where they're at and draw them down towards the libertarian bottom, is actually, it's not only a great way to like connect with those voters, but it's also a smart way to actually undermine the growth of authoritarianism, because it's not a victory if they just go left. Like, they need to come down too.
Okay. Time. Mr. Smith?
The anti-war thing has got to be the first and foremost. I totally agree with Mike there. The more we talk about that, the better we do. I've been able to prove that a lot over the last year, becoming the largest LNC member recruiter currently. And that's because I've stuck to that anti-war message. But also, I believe, the Federal Reserve is something that we should probably be talking about a lot more. We have, if you look at the Ron Paul campaigns in 2008, 2012, that was what unified a ton of libertarians around the country, and people came in from the right and the left. And I was campaigning for Ron Paul in 2008 at the Occupy Oakland movement, bringing absolute leftists over to talk about the Federal Reserve and the anti-war sentiment, and also ending the drug war. I think those are got to be our three biggest policy points. Absolutely.
Does say my name when he agrees with me count for a rebuttal?
If your name is evoked, yes.
I just want to say there are a few issues where the progressive left is kind of co-opting our narrative, and two great examples of that are sex work and the drug war. I think we should be leading out in front because they have access to polling data that we don't, and that means those issues have legs.
Okay, 15 seconds up. Okay, next question, and we're back to Josh starting, yes? The gap between Democratic and Republican voters is tremendous at this point in time. What can the Libertarian Party do to fill that gap? 1 minute.
We have to reach out to the 61% of the population that didn't vote in 2016. There's a reason why they're jaded on the two old parties. There's a reason why they've lost complete hope and faith in the political process. And, one of the things that I agreed with President Barack Obama on was that, the two things that bring people to the ballot box is hope and change. I mean, we have to be that difference. We have to be not the same as the two old parties. We can't continue to try and model ourselves after the Republicans or the Democrats and hope that we just get the Republicans or the Democrats in the party. They already have a party. They've been in that party for a long time. They're not going to come over and be a part of our party, especially when politics has become such a tribalistic chess beating team sport. That it's a fool's errand at this point. So I believe that we have to, be our own, blaze our own trail and really stick to our principles and show the population at large that hasn't been voting that we are a viable alternative.
Okay, time. Mike?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. The question was, the gap between Democratic and Republican voters is tremendous at this point in time. What can the Libertarian Party do to fill that gap?
Well, I think as libertarians, we have a special window into the fact that that gap isn't as wide as rhetorically their politicians are making them think. So actually, one of the really cool things in navigating this new space opened up by bot immunity and trying to find ways to, craft left, let's say, positive rhetoric that doesn't like totally alienate the right. And I'm sure you're all laughing right now because that has had mixed results, but ultimately it has been a trial and error process that has allowed me to discover, and others have discovered this too, that it's possible to find language that kind of does bridge that gap without the listener even quite being aware like what you've done. And I think like just reframing the dialogue around authority versus liberty and drawing them down with that message that is kind of both but neither at once is going to help kind of bridge that gap, as you asked.
Okay. Mike, you are first on this question. There are currently a good number of Libertarian caucuses. What purpose should these caucuses serve in the Libertarian Party? 1 minute.
So one of the great things about bot immunity is kind of giving everyone permission to be themselves. So the caucuses still serve a purpose, but like at one point it seemed like there was like this struggle for control over like what the single narrative would be. And like that has gone away to some extent. We're seeing prags we're working with former radicals. We're seeing audacious radicals working with, different people defending people in threads that used to argue. So I think what they give us now is just a sense of community with other libertarians who are kind of in the same like area of the bottom half with us. So they still give us like a shared sense of joy. And I think they make our culture more vibrant so that when those voters are coming in, they can find a landing place that feels natural to them. So they can get acclimated and then start to warm up to the other kinds of libertarians that exist.
5 seconds. Okay. Josh?
Well, I think caucuses are doing what they're supposed to. They have a mission. They want to see the party do something, and they come together around those principles. You know, there's the Mises Caucus, which I'm a member of, that wants to, you know, have a louder Austrian economics voice in the Libertarian Party. There's the Audacious Caucus, who wants a more audacious type of messaging and something that's kind of, you know, I don't want to batter your caucus here, and I'm not trying to do that, Mike, but I just think, you know, they want to be more audacious, and that's what they're trying to pull people towards. And so caucuses are there to try and, you know, bring whatever their cause or goals are to the party and see the party do more of that. And that's all they're there for.
Okay. Mike, your name was evoked.
Well, I think it's a misnomer to think that the Audacious Caucus wants other people to do things that don't come naturally to them. It's a lot more about just saying that it's okay for us to be how comes naturally to us. But importantly, I want to make it clear also that I'm not running on behalf of a specific caucus. In fact, I think one of the
time. Sorry. Okay. This one is a quick question, 15 seconds to answer this one. I believe we are back to Josh. You're yes?
Yep.
And that is, in 5 words or less, what is the single most important feature you'd like to see in a libertarian presidential candidate?
Ooh. Must be anti-war. That's it for me.
I'm sorry, there was like a glitch. I didn't hear that question clearly.
The question is, in 5 words or less, what's the single most important feature you'd like to see in a libertarian presidential candidate?
Actually be libertarian.
Okay.
Can I do another one? And now I like my brain just spit out a whole bunch of them all in a row.
Now they all came right out when you're not on the spot. That's funny how that works. All right, so this next question here. If you could one as our next LNC chair, who would it be and why? 45 seconds.
One more time.
Mike? Yeah. If you could choose anyone as our next LNC chair, who would it be and why?
Who's first?
You.
Well, me. That's why I'm
Mike,
running.
you're first. I'm sorry. Okay. And why? 45 seconds.
Well, you know, I don't think anyone wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I would like this really thankless free task that's going to consume all of my time and for the next 2 years be the object of everyone's hate. Like, it isn't necessarily because it was more like when I looked at who would be running and I asked myself really that question for myself. Should I identify somebody who can run? And if so, who would that person be? And like, there was this piece of my spirit that just like realized that answer is pointing at you right now. You've got, you know, you've created all this change and now it's up to you to kind of lead the party to the next level on that foundation. So that's why I'm running.
This time. Okay. And Josh Smith? You want me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. I honestly, I'd probably pick Jim Cantrell. I think Jim Cantrell would be a great chair for us. He's got a high visibility. He gets in the news all the time. He is a pioneer in the privatized space industry. I think he would have been a great chair for the Libertarian National Committee. Unfortunately, he's not running, so the next best option is myself.
You still have 20 seconds.
I'm good. I'll yield the rest of my time there.
You'll do time. All right. You guys are awesome. All right. Okay, so this one kind of popped up here recently. 30 seconds, Mike, your first answer. Should the LNC accept a membership application from an individual in prison? 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. You still have 25 seconds.
What it is that the chair should never be either the initiator of or even like an instigator or just centralized power is a bad thing, and crafting authority where there is none it's just like that's not the chair's job. The chair's job, if anything, is to stand against an expansion of power. And if
Josh?
I think it needs to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. If we get a letter from a federal penitentiary and we find out that that person's done some absolutely heinous things, like child sex trafficking, no. I think the LNC should at least have the opportunity to say, we're not going to associate the rest of our members with this person. We're not going to force them to stay in a party with a convicted child sex trafficker. No, absolutely not. But I mean, yeah, cool.
We're starting with Josh. You're first on the list this time. And the question is, and you got a minute and a half on this one. Why do you want to be the national chairman of the Libertarian Party?
I think that I've laid out a solid blueprint for the National Party. I think I came in to this chair campaign in 2018, talking about all these goals I had for the party and this plan I had for the party, but I had no meat to point to. I had no successes to point to outside of building a couple of little affiliates. And I think that, this year I've shown that my plans work. I've shown that I've been able to inspire people to join the party and get involved with campaigns and with their local parties and donate to the party and help causes like the Frontier Project or the data sharing or just all this stuff, and I've shown that my blueprint is working and that we can recruit members and grow this party if we do the right things. And so I believe that I have what it takes to help make this party a viable party.
Okay. You still have 35 seconds.
I'll yield the rest of my time there. Thank you.
Yield. Okay. Mike?
And can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Why do you want to be the national chairman of the Libertarian Party?
So a couple of things kind of coming together at once. One is looking at the political system and observing that people are turning away from the right-wing populism that was offered to them by the previous presidential candidate that won. And they're sort of gravitating towards this left-wing populism. And that disturbs me. I don't want to live in a top left authoritarian hellhole any more than a top right one. Like, I'm done with authoritarian hellholeness. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to achieve a world set free in my lifetime. So that awareness is coming together with kind of like the timeline of my libertarian career. My first big responsibility to this party was chair of outright libertarians. And I had to look at the problem of why is recruitment among gender and sexual minorities so low? And conversely, in this party that supposedly has had a plank since the 1970s, affirming, that gender and sexual minorities should be free, why is every time a transgender person announces that they exist, they're suddenly subjected to verbal harassment and ran out of the party? There's a disconnect there. Anyway, I don't know how much time I have left, but there was a problem to solve. And as I put my mind to that problem and I started discovering that there's more to the libertarian story than, the narrative that brought me in. And solving those problems. Is my time up?
That's time.
Oh, damn.
A minute and a half goes fast. Yeah. That's all right. You'll get another chance, another minute and a half at the end here.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get where I was going.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Wow.
Okay. So we do have a viewer question, which is pretty blunt and to the point. We start with Mike. Can you run a meeting?
Yes, I can run a meeting.
Okay.
How much time do I have real quick?
How much time you need? 10 seconds?
No, yes, I can run a meeting. I've run meetings by Robert's Rules of Order. I have to teach people in my nonprofit volunteer organization that I've been chair of for a couple of years. I have to teach them Robert's Rules of Order just so they can participate. So yes, I can run a large meeting.
Okay. Josh Smith?
Yes, absolutely. And you can ask the state of Oklahoma. I showed up to their state convention last year, and with 15 minutes notice, I ran the entire business portion of their state convention.
So another question I have for you guys, it'll be a minute question. And we'll start with Josh because we started with Mike this last time. What do you believe the proper role of the LNC chair is in regards to setting the tone of conversations within the Libertarian Party?
Oh, I think it's of the utmost importance. I think having a chair that sets that tone and sets a positive example for our messaging and how we get our messaging out is I can't even explain how important that is, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to run last year. I didn't think that we were on message. I don't think that we were reaching the right people or enough people. And I think that having a chair that sets that example and that tone is going to be so important going through 2020 to 2022. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll yield the rest of my time there.
All right. And Mike?
I'm sorry to keep asking you to repeat the question.
It's what you're well within your right. What do you believe the proper role of the LNC chair is in regards to setting the tone of the conversations within the Libertarian Party?
I mean, there's a lot packed into that phrase, setting the tone. I don't think it's the job of the chair to tell the rest of the membership what their priorities should be or the language they should use to speak their priorities. The job of the chair is really a facilitator, and they're really the least powerful person in the party. The one thing they do have is that people pay attention to the things that they do say. So there's a lot of attention paid to those words. I would think using that spotlight just to set an example of, really taking the opportunities that we have to meet voters, no matter where they're coming from. And I remember I'm starting to get paranoid about whether I have enough time, but I remember last session, the chair had observed that those students after that shooting were experiencing.
5 seconds.
I'm not even going to go there then.
Okay.
I'm not going to start a long story that I can't fit in.
That's all right. Excellent. Let's see. Next question here. We have one that popped up on the screen from a viewer. Who did we start with last time? Somebody refresh my memory.
Me. It's Mike's turn.
So it's Mike's turn. All right, Mike, how will you, as chair, get the party message to the masses? And we'll give you 30 seconds.
This is a lot to expect of the chair. It's really, this is a bottom-up party. So I think more than anything, just actually inspiring people and making them know your voice matters. No matter where you are in the bottom half of the Libertarian quadrant, there's a reason you're excited and impassioned about what you're saying and what you're doing, and your passion matters. So get out there and speak it. So most of the work happens at the ground level. And so I just think empowering people, facilitating them, giving them the information they need to engage with the structure at the different levels, and just kind of like constantly affirming and lifting up and like letting people know don't let your own doubt and your own fear and your own sense of like being overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem hold you back.
Time. And he had 50 seconds to answer that, so I'll go ahead and give you full 50 seconds to Josh.
Thanks, Scott. I agree with Mike that at the local and state level that those are the people who should be getting the message out to their state, because they need to message to their state or their local communities the issues that they're facing there. I think as far as a national organization goes and the national message, I've already started working on building a much more aggressive media plan for the national party. I think that we should have what I like to call the media hit squad. But it's basically a regional media team. We have a certain person in each region that's constantly looking for national media opportunities, and those people can take those national media opportunities on behalf of the party, whoever's a great speaker or something along that line in that certain region. So I think building an actual media team around the country of people that are always ready for media opportunities is really going to get us in the face of way more people in this nation. And I'll yield the rest of my time.
You're actually right on. Okay, let's take a look here and see if we've got viewer questions. It looks like they're still kind of rolling in. I'll go with the next one. The next question I have is the LNC, the National Committee, meets in person quarterly. How will you ensure that you are present to facilitate these meetings? Mike?
There is nothing that would stop me from attending one of those meetings. I will hitchhike if I have to. But I won't have to.
You have 50 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, that's like showing up to a quarterly meeting is not a lot to ask. If you can ask anybody that I volunteered with, showing up to meetings is an important thing to me. It's kind of like it's the baseline of getting things done. So I can't imagine anyone even running for chair who's not willing to, and who expects in advance that they're going to. So I yield my time.
Okay. And Josh.
Yeah, it's absolutely imperative that the chair of the LNC makes it to every meeting. So I have no problem traveling. You know, a lot of people like to ding me on the fact that I missed my first LNC meeting in Arizona when I became an at-large representative. But there was personal stuff going on, and I needed to call out for that. But as chair, you just can't do that unless it's some kind of dire emergency. It just can't be done. You have to be there to facilitate the meetings, and it's very important to the board. So.
Okay. You still have 30 seconds.
I'll yield the rest of my time there.
Okay.
The question doesn't need a lot of answering.
No, but you could jump in there with like, oh, and don't forget, vote for Josh Smith. Yeah. Don't forget, vote Mike Shipley, 2020. We could throw those in there. So, no, you guys are doing great. Being real patient and kind with my questions. I appreciate that. So, next question, we are starting with, it looks like we have a viewer question that popped up. Josh, are you ready for this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you intend to work towards liberty with the chair if you're not chair? Your role working if not elected.
Sweet. So I had to do this over the last 2 years, and it's no secret that Nick and I do not always see eye to eye or get along on everything. But where we can work together, I've worked with him, and I've tried to, continue to grow the party, not in spite of him, but with him, and I think that regardless of our petty squabbles or whatever it is, mine and Mike's or mine and whoever else becomes chair of the party, I'm still going to be here working. And I'm always more than happy to work with any libertarians that are trying to advance liberty in this country, plain and simple. So, it doesn't matter if Mike's the chair or I'm the chair or Nick's the chair or somebody, NOTA wins and they elect somebody else. I'm still going to be here working regardless. And I'm always going to work with that person. And I'll yield the rest of my time.
Okay. Mike?
Well, one thing I would say is that, how do I put this? First of all, bot immunity, again, I've said this before, it has changed kind of like the sense of conflict that we have in the party, like that idea that there can only be one type of libertarian and they have to win and make all the rest of them leave the island. Like that sense is gone. So for one thing, there's no particular like threat of, or a sense of like that I wouldn't be able to operate in a party like that. But two is that I've just learned over the years, like I know the power of a bottom-up movement, and you actually have more power when you're not an officer. So to some degree, I would just go back to doing things the way I always have been. Yeah.
You guys are coming way under time. I didn't even tell you
how much more time do I have?
Well, you have 1 second.
Oh. Okay. All right.
1 second. All right. Let's take a look and see if we've got viewer questions popping in. We had somebody say, "Oh, I didn't know we were doing viewer questions." Yeah. I see that one. We'll see if Zach filters that one up on us. So here's the point of the debate where I want to go ahead and give you an opportunity to give your pitch. So I want you to take the next minute, and you can convince our viewers to support you as chairman of the national committee. And Josh, go.
I'm sorry. What? One more time, because you popped a question up on the screen, and I was ready to answer this question.
Did this question pop?
It popped up, but it's gone now.
I didn't see it.
It's probably not a good. It's probably not a good question for us to talk about right now.
Oh, there it is. No, we're gonna answer it. I don't want to talk about this one either, but we're gonna ask it because I don't know that this is a relevant question, but I didn't know we were doing viewer questions. What would you say Nick's biggest weakness is, and what would you say his biggest strength is, Josh?
I think his biggest weakness is that he likes to pick fights with certain sects of libertarians that he doesn't agree with. And it's a constant thing, and it hurts our outreach, and it hurts our mission, and it hurts the success of our party. I think as far as his biggest strengths is he's a great facilitator. He runs an awesome meeting. He keeps meetings on task. He does very, very well in that area, and a lot of people are in awe of watching him run national conventions. But I don't necessarily think it's not anything that every one of us can learn to do. So those are my two. And I'll yield the rest of my time.
Okay, Mike.
All right. So as far as weaknesses, I'm going to go. The one thing that really made me sad this time is when, I understood why the chair had to stand behind Bill Weld during the duration of his campaign. But once he was no longer the candidate, it was really disturbing to sort of watch the chair continue to defend and, there was no reason for that. So, if that counts as a weakness, that would be the one thing that really stuck out to me this last term. As far as strengths, Nick is really, really good at making sure everybody knows that they're welcome in this party and that they have a voice. And I think that's really cool. It has given room for me to blossom as an activist, and it has given room for so many other people to blossom and grow. And I think that, it has been inspiring. It's been something that I look to as an example, and part of the way that I frame my work as positively as I can now. I grew into doing that by watching the way that Nick does that as well. I mean, not just that, but also that, you know what I mean? Like, he's good at that, and I think that's a strength.
Okay. And then we have another question which evokes both of your names, but it starts with Mike, so we'll go ahead and lob it to you. How will you extend an olive branch to those that feel disenfranchised by the Libertarian Party?
An olive branch? Well, it's kind of a catch-22 because does anybody, care who the chair of a party really is? In some sense, it's easy to overestimate how much actual attention that I would get by being chair. But with that said, if and when I win, and bottom unity and this idea that that libertarianism can embrace the entire bottom half of that spectrum, that represents kind of like turning over a new leaf within ourselves. And so I think there's a narrative around that can justify having the chair try to get media that we've never had before, and sort of ask the public that to give us a new chance to make a new impression on these old stereotypes that have been around for a while. So what I would do is kind of try to leverage that narrative to get another chance to reach people that had tuned out in the past.
Okay. Josh?
Well, I've had a lot of success with my recruiting of bringing old members back to the Libertarian Party, which has been really nice. I think those members who have lapsed or left or had some kind of gripe with the current leadership, they just want to see leadership that's going to reflect their activism. That's what they want, and so I think I've had a lot of success doing that just by, reflecting their activism and talking about the issues that are important to them. But I think as far as disenfranchised by the Libertarian Party, it's kind of vague. Are we talking about past members? Are we talking about people from the two old parties that hate us. I don't want to bring them in. They're not coming in. And I said at the beginning that our most important voter base is going to be the 61% of people who were disenfranchised by the two old parties, and how we get them into the party. And I'll yield the rest of my time there.
Okay. Didn't have much left anyway. Check the questions. And so we're back to the other question. And we started with, I'm going to start with Josh this time. You have 1 minute to convince our viewers to support you for chairman of the Libertarian National Committee. Oh.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank Mike for being here and Scott for holding this. Look, I put in all the work I said I was going to put in 2018. I've helped to grow the party. I've worked on campaigns and ballot access issues, and I've learned the role of the board a lot more than I knew in 2018. But I've actually been able to take all the stuff that I said I was going to do in 2018 and help grow the party, and that's what we're all trying to do anyways. That's why we should exist as a Libertarian National Committee, is to make the party successful, and I've shown that my goals and my blueprint and my plans are working. And so I would like you to give me the opportunity to do that on a grander scale, and that's all I got.
Nice. Okay, Mike, 1 minute and go.
So if you would have thought, say 4 or 6 years ago, that you would be sitting in a party that contained everybody from ANCOMs to ANCAPs, and they're working together under the banner of broad immunity, you would have been shocked. But by innovating and navigating through that as a facilitator, I've been able to transform this party into a place that's more welcoming to a lot more libertarians. And if I can do that to this party, I can do that to the political system as a whole. And I shouldn't say I should say we. But as evidence of that, I'm going to make my announcement that I told everyone I was going to make. As you know, right-wing populism is rising in Europe and around the globe. So some libertarians in the Netherlands are seeing something in broad immunity that really excites them. So I've been invited to speak to the Dutch Libertarian Party General Assembly in April. I'm going to be speaking in Europe. So if that does not demonstrate to you the power of this idea to kind of combat the rise of populism all around the globe, I don't know what does.
Perfect. Any more viewer questions? Nope. Okay. That was my final question for the night. We are coming up on 43 minutes of the podcast. At this point in time, I would like to extend an additional 3 minutes to each candidate to fulfill any additional statements that they wanted to maybe go back and readdress any questions that they didn't feel like they fully had an opportunity to answer, or any additional information we should know about you as a candidate. And Mike, I'll go ahead and go to you first.
So as I scroll frantically, did my team give me a closing statement? Look, I know that one of the biggest challenges for me to win this race is that what most people experience of working with me, or even just around me, has been through me solving that problem that I alluded to earlier when I ran out of time, which is that as outright libertarians, in solving the problems that I had to successfully solve in order to be good at that job, it brought me into conflict in the party with some of these like old sort of ideas that hadn't been challenged for a while. And so I guess if I could just say one thing, I would ask the listeners to kind of spread the word that to give me another chance to make a first impression with you. I am going to be going to as many state party conventions as I can. If you believe in the idea of second chances and you'd like to give me a chance to meet your fellow delegates, I encourage you to donate to my travel fund. There's a link pinned to the top of my Facebook page right now. And just please give me that chance. If you hate me after that, okay, but don't take my critics' word for it, and don't assume that because there was a lot of conflict perceived coming out of the work that I did, that conflict was there because of an inherent, character flaw. It was about me succeeding at the task, the responsibility that was placed in front of me for this party. And it was always for the good of the party. And I'd like to continue applying that talent and that successful drive to the problems we share in the broader political system.
Excellent. And same time for you, Josh.
Awesome. Yeah, I really just could parrot what I said in my last statement. You know, I've really put in the work over the last 2 years. You know, I was humbled to have the opportunity to become an at-large representative for the Libertarian National Committee. It's a position that I haven't taken for granted at all, and I've used it to the best of my ability. And I think that I've shown that, you know, the things that I'm doing works, and we can really make a difference in this country by having a successful and viable third party. And I just want the opportunity to help facilitate that. So I hope that you guys will come to Austin in May and put my name on that ballot, and so that we can get to work and break the cycle in 2020. And I will yield the rest of my time there.
I do have one more question for each of you. Mike, where can people that are interested find out more about your campaign for?
So right now, the best way is to just look for me on Facebook, find my campaign page there. It's Mike Shipley for LNC chair. Facebook.com/Mikester4Liberty. I'll give you my email and my phone number too, because I really welcome that direct contact. I'd like to know what your concerns really are if you do want to talk about them. So it's mike.shipley@outlook.com. And my phone number is 602-492-4201. I'm also, of course, on Twitter. It's at Mikester, and I'm also on Instagram. But I do most of my activism through Facebook, or most of my public speech through Facebook. So you can find my statements there.
Okay. And Josh.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at LNC at large, or Joshua Smith, LNC at large. You can find me on Twitter if you want to see a bunch of dumb jokes. It's Joshua at large. There's a new LNC Chair 2020 page for me as well, if you look up my name with the same things. And also, I just want to say, Scott, I think it's a national tragedy that our third candidate, Dulap Nelson, was not included in this debate. And I know there's a lot of really upset people in the comments there. So I figured I'd let you know.
He was invited. He offered to crap on the microphone, and that was as much of a commitment as we got.
Yeah.
So
I'm sad and ashamed that he was not allowed to crap on the microphone in this debate.
Well, maybe we'll get him on the next round.
Fair.
So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and participating in the Drunk and Disorderly podcast debate for the Libertarian National Committee chairman. I really appreciate that. Make sure, again, if you're following us on YouTube, to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find more, if you found me funny at all, you can find me at Mr. Z Comedy here on Facebook, Comedy Shenanigans, or you can locate me at the Executive Director of the Libertarian Party of Nebraska page if you want to prefer to follow the politics side of things. So, gentlemen, I really do appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.